Hello and welcome to today's Just Chopsing podcast. And with David and myself, we have Elliot Blake. And Elliot Blake is from the band Catalysts. They're from Newport, a 5-piece. How's it going, mate?
It's going very well. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us on.
No problem. You're more than welcome. It seems you're only just down the road from David. I was going to say from us then, but...
Could have done it in the drive-through McDonald's.
We'll do that next time, David, to get your little microphone out.
That's right, yeah.
To go with your little hand. Yeah. So, you've had a handful of I'm so tired I can't even speak. Singles, come on, Ter. A handful of singles out, and are they all from your latest EP then, Sparks?
Yeah, I guess the original plan wasn't really to put anything as a coherent EP or album out. We were just going to go track by track and, because I guess the world is Spotify now and we haven't printed any physical. So we just thought, well, we like all the songs. We may as well release them one by one, take advantage of, I can't remember the CEO's name, but he said that you should be releasing something like every 6 hours or something like that. So we thought, well, I'm joking. We'll do something every 6 to 9 weeks for the year. But yeah, so, I guess really these days people have such short attention spans that, giving them an album in one go just seems like a bit of a waste of effort on the band's part, to be honest with you, unless you're already super massive. People are expecting it. It just sort of, and we were really happy with the songs. We couldn't really decide which ones would be singles or not, so we just thought, well, it's out one by one. And I suppose towards the end of that little campaign, it was sort of said to us that to make it in a sort of a bit more of a nice, neat package on these sort of streaming sites is just to wrap them up into this last track EP.
Does that make a difference? I don't know if it makes a difference or not, to be honest.
It doesn't change anything in sort of, streams or anything like that. It does when people search for you when you go into sort of the band's history of releases, it will have an EP there with all your tracks as opposed to just going to the single section.
Right, okay.
It does look a little bit neater, I guess, really. But no, and I think it's one thing to sort of, it's a bit of a marketing ploy behind it just to say that we've released an EP now and all the songs are there for everybody to listen to if you haven't already found us through the other singles, I guess. So
yeah. All right, very good. So when did you get together? Sorry, Dave.
Oh.
When did you guys get together then?
I think officially we've put down as 2018. I was in a band with David since, on and off, and been in various different bands since sort of, early 2000s. We went to college together and, we were in a band called the Kennedy Soundtrack for a while, which kind of had a little bit of success in the UK in the early 2000s and then kind of, fell apart really, as bands do. And then we kind of drifted in and out of different bands together, but the other guys have been in bands around Newport, so we've always known each other for quite some time. It's just, I guess, really it went from sort of just as a, what can you say, like an every week sort of jam session to, we kind of like what we're doing here and found this new kind of sound that we all kind of appreciated and just decided to move forward with a little bit more seriously, I guess.
Yeah, right, okay. Go on, Dave.
Oh, I was going to ask.
I thought he was looking down then at a notepad. He's like, right, I'm going to look down. Actually, I haven't written anything down. Just.
No, I was going to ask because when you said about the EP, is it on like iTunes and stuff to download as well?
Yeah. It's on all the major streaming platforms. So you can get it from Apple Music if you're, registered or subscribed to that. You can download it via iTunes if you want to actually pay and support the band in a monetary sort of sense. The only place it isn't up, which I haven't really used, and that's why it's not up there, is Bandcamp. But I really should probably look at getting it all up on Bandcamp because people do use Bandcamp, as I've realised in some other bands that I work with and play for. So yeah, maybe I'll get that around to that during my Christmas break.
Because we had somebody else on, didn't we, that used the Bandcamp, and you have like 2 or 3 listens for free.
Yeah.
Then you've got to buy it, haven't you, and download it or whatever.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, for people who don't really want to buy into those big corporations like, you know, Apple and, you know, Spotify, that it's just another avenue for people to, if they want to have a digital music download, they can download it from Bandcamp. And yeah, you know, again, band makes a lot more money from a 79 pence download than it does from 10,000 streams on Spotify. So it's you know, it's all helpful.
Yeah, D-Ream it was.
D-Ream, yeah.
D-Ream?
Yeah. Remember them?
Yeah. What about them?
Get better. They use Bandcamp.
Ah, right.
Because they're the same as you. They're doing it all themselves.
It might be way off. Didn't Dr. Brian Cox play keyboard?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. That's the D-Ream I remember.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were still doing stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just brought out a new album.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we had them on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check some of that out if it's new. And yeah.
They're really funny, actually. They were really cool, weren't they, Dave?
Are they still doing like sort of dance songs? Have they changed the way they...
Yeah.
I do like... I love a bit of dance music.
It's a bit old man dance music now, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter, if you're watching. I doubt if he is, but...
Well, listen to them, Peter. Old man dance music is the future.
Well, that's how I dance now, anyway.
I know, it's kind of weird.
I know. Yeah.
Whatever happened to me?
My kids always take a piss out of my dance, and they reckon I look like Groot off Guardians of the Galaxy.
Could be a lot worse, Dave. I think could be a lot worse. Somebody videoed me the other night. I was drunk in a local venue, a pub, and they were having some sort of emo dance night, and I was absolutely battered. And I think it was my wife who recorded me, and then played it back. Well, didn't play it back for me. She just uploaded it, and I was like,
Nice.
"Oh, who is that person?"
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm 18, skinny and handsome, jumping around the stage, and really I'm just, you know, middle-aged, fat, and
somebody's
really out of tune as well. Really out of tune. Singing along to Finch.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't know what happens, because I used to be a really good dancer back in the day. I mean, I did used to take a lot of ecstasy, but maybe that twists your illusion a little bit.
Well, yeah, or it's, you know, drug enhancing, one or the other.
Yeah. We used to have a great time. I actually thought I was a really good dancer, but
we used to have a great time when we used to take ecstasy. It's still the best time we've ever had.
I've always been a shit dancer. I know it as well.
Well, you should have took some ecstasy, Dave. You would have been brilliant.
I remember being in Germany on a works trip, and we went out for the night. The guys took us out, and I remember stacking boxes at the nightclub, doing it all that.
Stacking boxes, big fish,
I think I was
cardboard box. Yeah,
ahead of my time. The Germans didn't appreciate what I was doing. I was on there on my own doing it pretty much.
Well, the Germans were all headbanging because it was a fucking heavy metal party, probably.
Yeah, he's dancing to Rammstein in the corner on ecstasy, doing his cardboard box routine. Yeah.
So where'd you pull your influences from, mate? I mean, you said you've been in bands for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing guitar when I was about 14, and I kind of just muched my last year of school because I wasn't really very good at it. It took me ages for me to click. So I remember
school or
school
guitar.
No, yeah, well, both really. I wasn't very good at both, but I thought, well, I'd rather sit there and play guitar for, I guess, 7 hours a day than do maths or whatever I was doing at the time. But I'm not sure if either really has benefited me throughout life, you know, but it took me about a year to get to grips with guitar. So, but me personally, I was heavily influenced by sort of, you know, the 90s grunge bands of the day and a bit of Britpop. But I guess this band, I guess Catalyst, you know, isn't it? I guess it's a mix of stuff really, because the guys are really into very different things. They're into their pop punk, and I'm into my sort of I don't know, sort of punk rock, metal, dance music as well, because I'm a big fan of sort of like Daft Punk and even, you know, the more mainstream cheesy stuff like David Guetta and all that. I absolutely love all that, Calvin Harris and things like that. So that's where the synth side of our music kind of plays a little bit. I mean, obviously Enter Shikari, and many bands before us have done, you know, that blend, but I guess we try to come from it from a more melodic songwriting point of view rather than screaming and shouting. And there's nothing wrong with screaming and shouting. It's just that Dave doesn't like to do it, and you know, he's a fantastic singer, and I can add a little bit of gruff when it's needed. So I guess really we all kind of come together on a couple of bands, Bring Me the Horizon being one of them, because we think they're fantastic. Most recent one is a bit of Eskimo Callboy. We're loving Eskimo Callboy right now because they're just absolute lunatics. German band being entered in for the Eurovision Song Contest in 2022. Go and check them out if you haven't. They mix dance music and metal just so well, and they so tongue-in-cheek. They don't take themselves seriously at all, and they're a great band. I guess, you know, other things like Angels and Airwaves, kind of things that sound epic and spacious, but yet carry a lot of melody, I think is kind of what we're influenced by, what we try to sort of create ourselves in our own unique way.
Yeah, it's a bit, I actually wrote down melodic emo earlier when I was listening to it.
Yeah. I mean, we try not to, you know, try to be too emo, but I guess music is an emotional response, so you kind of have to put a little bit of emotion into it, otherwise it's difficult to resonate with people. But I mean, these bunch of songs kind of like sort of our first introduction into sort of writing in this way. We're really particular about fine-tuning our songs. We don't, like, some bands will write 46 songs and they'll have about sort of 40 crap ones and maybe 6 good ones, and then they'll put an album out and some of it's just a bit fillerish and they only really concentrate on some. And that's not something that we wanted to do. We wanted to be really happy with everything we put out, and we want to take our time. And, you know, the way that the modern world's moving with consuming music is a little bit different than what it was. And it's fine if you still want to do albums and concepts and things like that and tie everything in. But I think it's also fine, and it's time to sort of accept the fact that, you know, most people are only buying into, you know, a couple of songs from an artist that are putting them out these days. You know, it's kind of just the way the kids and the younger generation consume generally, not just music, just everything. I mean, computer consoles doing the same thing. Netflix, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to watch, how many seasons, how many episodes, and when you want to watch it.
So we're definitely living in a throwaway society at the moment.
Yeah, it's like the junk food of consumerism right now, isn't it? Like, it's insane. Like, you know, an app is, you know, all singing and all dancing one week, and then it's completely forgotten about the week after because, you know, something else is out. And unfortunately, music gets a little bit tagged into that, you know, on a mass consumer level. Music's become a little bit like that. Not people who obviously are collectors and I don't know, you know, connoisseurs of their music and the types of things that they like to listen, they seek out, they find what they want and they invest in it and they buy it and they cherish it a little bit more. But generally the mass market out there is very like, who was that? Oh, I was listening to them last week. Oh no, I'm listening to this now. That's crap.
What was I going to say?
Sorry, I can ramble, so you just stop me.
It was just along the same sort of lines, really, about, you know.
It's a bit of a shame, and I don't think we'll stay in this sort of way of consuming. Like it has done for the last 30 years. Change formats, change the way it will. It will change again, and Spotify and these streaming sites won't be the all singing, all dancing kings of the music industry. The industry will change yet again, like it has over the last, you know, 40 to 50 years. So.
You just get a implant planted in your neck, I expect, and you'll listen to music that way.
We say in practice, actually I was in practice with a different band last night. We like doing the vocals, setting the vocal levels and everything, the microphones, and you know, like, oh, it's getting away. Oh, don't worry, just one day you'll just stick an XLR on the back of your neck and that'll be that, like, you won't even need a microphone, something like out the Matrix or something like that.
Well, you could all go to the same gig but listen to different bands at the same time.
That's called silent disco, Dave.
Is it? Is it already a thing, is it?
Yeah. Silent discos, they've been about for a while. They're wild, they are, when you take your headphones off and just listen to everybody just huffing and puffing and grunting.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, they're quite fun. They are quite fun.
I've never been to one, but...
I don't think I consciously decided to go one. I think I just kind of ended up in one, like either at a festival or just on a night out, and it was like, this will be fun. Like, you know, it's like karaoke bars. You don't really intend to go to karaoke, but you just end up in one singing like a bell ends, you know.
Yeah. Well, I do. I like going to karaoke, but there's no
Yeah,
different.
no, lots of people just only do it when they're drunk, though, don't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've got to be drunk. It's not. It's not
Showing
like.
off otherwise, isn't it? Going to karaoke, but and actually being able to sing well, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to turn up with your own microphone
Yeah,
stand.
I couldn't get in with the voice, so I'm going to punish everybody.
And your own CD.
That's right. Yeah. Number 6, but.
Oh, that's saying something. Showing up with your own CD, Christ.
Yeah. Play this. I think. Well, that's what most artists do nowadays. I think
Yeah.
Robbie Williams and they just turn up with a backing track.
Well, yeah, and
Sing
that
along.
again, like I think that's a sign of just trying to squeeze, like the capitalist pig trying to squeeze as much money out of having, back in the day, when you have it back in the day, like the Rat Packs and all those guys, but big bands back in them, they probably paid piss all anyway, but at least they were paid, at least they had work. Now they just show up with a backing track, and take all the money, charge twice as much.
Yeah.
It's a strange old game, but like I said, I don't think it can last forever. I mean, it might change. It might not change in the time that I would be able to contribute into it or be a part of it. But there's a lot of clever kids coming up, who are a lot more wiser than maybe what we were or what I am, in the industry back when we started. So.
Well, we were talking to what's the guy's name? Darren Hess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Darren Hess is?
No.
He's a DJ.
Damon Hess.
Damon Hess, sorry, yeah, Damon Hess. His real name's Darren, but his stage name's Damon. But he's a big DJ, producer guy, and he's got a band called A State of Romance.
Okay.
And he was saying he basically makes the whole track himself.
Yeah.
On software, and then he presents it to the band, and then they all learn how to play it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, we don't operate quite in that way. It is a bit of a little bit of a democracy. I mean, I will come up with the majority of the idea of the song, but like the drummer writes his own part, so he'll come round. I've got a little system set up, and we'll kind of hammer out the structure together, and then like Dave will come up with the main sort of melody, and we'll all sort of chip in perhaps with a little bit of lyrics or some melody changes, and then the rest of the band, when we're in the room developing that song from that sort of early stages of demoing, well then things start to sort of morph and mutate in the music that way, from having Craig and Paul thrown in their ideas about maybe how things should move and go, and then eventually, we've always said that not that we make anything at all, because whatever 25% or 20% of nothing is still nothing, but we always said we'd split everything equally anyway, because it doesn't really matter who comes up with the idea. It's about everybody participating and being there when they needed to, so
I saw that on your credits actually, because I always tend to just quickly check the credits, and I noticed that you're all down for the credits.
Well, it's a team effort, and there's, like I said, at the moment there's no real massive amounts of money being spread around. I mean, don't get me wrong, if suddenly we wrote something and it went crazy, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, why are you taking 20% of my millions? I don't know. Well, that changes people, doesn't it? It changes like some of the bigger bands in life, like Guns N' Roses and Nirvana and bands like that. Actually, But I don't know, really, at this stage. It's just like, look, we all got to make the effort to show up and practice and write and rehearse and change things and think about things. So
well, I think it's I mean, I used to do that with my band when I had a band way back when. I did exactly the same thing. I said, right, this is the way it's going to work. Everybody gets a songwriting credit, instead of there being any infighting of who writes what and who does this and who does that.
Well,
you're all going to contribute at the end of the day.
It ruins bands, doesn't it? I mean, it ruins Beatles as well, like to the point with Lennon and McCartney and George Harrison. I mean, George Harrison pretty much had probably one of the best Beatles songs ever written, Something in the Way She Moves. And yet it took him like better part of a decade for them to listen to him, And don't get me wrong, I know he was learning all the way through that and he had confidence. But at the end of the day, who needs to be like... And I could understand really if perhaps my band was like a writing machine, like if Paul or Craig came to the practice, it's like, I've got 10 songs, I'm going to show you all my songs. I'd be like, yeah, but I got 15. And Dave's like, well, I got 12. You'd be like, all right, okay, let's try and whittle these down and have work on a fair amount of songs each. But it doesn't really happen like that until it does. I wouldn't, suggest anything otherwise than what we've got.
Yeah. Very good. Go on in, Dave.
What gigs you got coming up?
Well, yeah, gigs at the moment. So I guess through lockdown, we were a little bit, we were struggling to try and find our place in the live circuit and just trying to get things because nobody was really booking and they were just carrying shows forward. But we managed to get back a gig that we had cancelled like way back in 2020, back in Bristol, in the 23rd of January, in the Fleece. And we're on, I think it's, yeah, I played there, quite a few times, in the past with different bands, but not Catalyst. And it's a good sort of like, it's a bit of an exposure gig where they have lots of different types of artists come on and play. So we're on about, I think, 7 o'clock in the evening. But with the way things are at the moment, I'm not counting my chickens that it'll actually go ahead.
Yeah.
Because I got, we've got some gigs planned to go and watch, this year. And that's one of them's just been moved now. There's a Funeral for a Friend gig in January, which has been postponed twice already, I think. Has just been moved to February and March. So just need to hang on in there, really, and just hope that we can get out and start doing stuff.
Yeah.
But we have got a lot of new songs that we've been writing and finishing things up. We've got to finish a few songs up, got another 6, and we, saved quite a bit of money throughout COVID because that's what we do. We just chip away, putting some money aside. And we're very much hoping to go to a bit more of a I don't know, a bit more, not a fancy studio, but something that's a little bit more professional, I guess, in some ways, to do these next 6. So that's a bit of a focal point for us at the moment. And then
where did you do the other stuff then?
Well, we did the other stuff at studios, but it was a bit broken up. So we did the drums in one place because they had a nice drum room and they had a reasonable price. So, we did the drums in One Louder Studios in Newport, which it's a great studio, but it's got a daily rate as well. We wanted to use a particular person to produce it, which is Rob Thomas, and he's got his daily rate, so that mounts up. And then we decided to go to, I've got a friend who sort of has a rehearsal space stroke studio who allowed us to basically just pay the electric bill to go in and use and do the guitars and the bass and the vocals in. So that was really kind of him, Prime Audio. And we kind of did that throughout COVID when the restrictions would lift and when it felt okay to do. And to be honest with you, it was a bit, because it wasn't a band experience at that point. So, drummer would drum parts and me, and then, one at a time, guitarist, bass, and it was all a little bit like fractured. And it sounds great, don't get me wrong, because we knew exactly how we wanted these songs to go. We kind of create this pre-production tracking here at my house. I do it. Okay. So the drummer goes in and literally plays to the song as it is. And so that's not a problem. We don't all need to be around. And we'll do that anyway, because I think it's just a better use of time. But so it felt a little bit sort of, I guess, insular and fractured. But this next lot, I really want us to be around and all of us to be around doing it at the same time. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit tough, we all got full-time jobs and some have kids, things like that. You can't really, take the time off to be away for, a week or so just dedicated to the studio. But hopefully we can do that this time. Yeah,
and that gets expensive as well,
Yeah, so I mean, we got this idea in our head that we try and go for Rockfield, because I've been to Rockfield before in Monmouth, and it's a fantastic studio, local boys, and hopefully we can, I don't know, strike up a deal. No record label, just beg and borrow and plead to use the studio when they have a bit of free time in between, the big proper bands that have labels paying for them and stuff. Yeah.
What was running that now, Rockfield?
It's Kingsley's daughter. I can't remember her name. Apologies, but I'm not even going to guess because I'll get it wrong. But yeah, it's still in the family, and it's still a fantastic studio.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
We've interviewed a couple of guys that got studios. There's one in Swansea. I can't remember the name of it. It's Phil Humphreys.
Yeah.
What was his? Was it Little Emperor Studios or something like that? Remember? Oh, we haven't actually had him on, have we? But,
no.
But the Autumn Colours did their first album there. But there are a few surprises. couple about, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And there's some great studios around at that, even, to do professional recordings in. I mean, I got up to Bliner, Palm Studio, up in Bliner. They're a great bunch of boys, and I've got some fantastic equipment, and, and the stuff that comes out of it is great. I just think for us, we just, part of it's about having an experience as a band for ourselves as well. So we want to be able to go and say we recorded, in one of the biggest studios in Wales. Want to enjoy, all the lovely vintage boards they've got there in the out here in the drum room, and just kind of like,
enjoy the experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there in previous bands, and I worked with a bunch of Swedish kids that won some sort of competition, and I've been there, and it's just such a lovely working environment. It's countryside, fresh air, peace and quiet. You don't really feel like you have to, rush off anywhere, or it's just a good working environment, I think, for the band to be in. Yeah.
Very good. What was that Swedish band? What was that band?
Oh, that was a lot. I can't
Eskimo what? No,
the German band were called Eskimo. Yeah, Eskimo Callboy, a German band.
Eskimo Callboy.
Eskimo Callboy.
I think that's.
Stick it in YouTube. You'll find them straight away. They've just done a new track called Pump It. Very funny. Very good.
Let's have a look at that. Yeah,
it seems to be since what was the last Eurovision? Manskin won it, didn't they? So because they were like a kind of rock band, we'll say, which is, I guess, better than the usual Euro pop that won it, and they've done really well off the back of that. And kind of you can go on the Planet Rock and Kerrang and all those sorts of things. They've got in from that. I think this year everybody's gone like, well, that rock thing worked last year, so let's find a bunch of rock bands that aren't signed. Yeah. Of course, nobody's signed anymore, are they? And if they are, they're on kind of like, I guess they either their own labels or independent things. That it doesn't really matter, because I thought once upon a time with Eurovision you couldn't be a professional.
Yeah, that's right.
But you had to be amateur. But these guys have got millions of views on YouTube. Yeah. And I think there's somebody else that's followed suit, and I can't remember the name of the band now. Oh, it's escaped me. But somebody else has done the same thing now. They're like, oh well, if they're doing that, we're going to do this. And I wouldn't be surprised if it would be like another Lordi, in 2022. And we're all going to go up. And we love Eskimo Callboy that much. The band's just going to have a band house party and just get absolutely wasted. That's rock and roll, isn't it? Let's have a party and watch Eurovision. How many rock bands are saying that, do you reckon these days? Well, probably quite a few, isn't it?
Nah, none.
I don't know. Not many.
We're going to do it. All right, so fuck everyone.
Not unless Fire Saga are on there with Will Ferrell. Have you seen that?
Yeah. That was really good. That was one of his better ones again. He had some clangers, didn't he? But that was all right.
Yeah, this song, what was it? Something Wanna Bing Bang or Ding Bang?
I can't remember the song.
Yeah, it was good. That was good.
So Eskimo, what were they? Eskimo Callboy. Dave, I'll lead you into your band word section.
Yeah, so we got a bit of a section now where we're looking at words that have been banned and trying to understand why they've been banned, and also who bans these words. So word that I've come up with today is snowball, right? With it being a Christmas episode. And you're not allowed to use the word snowball anymore. You've got to use the word flavoured ice for some reason.
Oh, is these like cones then? Is that right? Like the snow cones, wasn't it? Were they called snowballs?
Or not snow cones either.
No, and I bet it's probably because it's seen as derogatory or some sort of racist connotations, is it, or something like that?
Yeah. So
madness.
And it's like when you have something snowballing when it's going out of control.
Yeah, snowballing. Oh yeah, I suppose.
And there was another snowballing as well that me and Terry just off there, which is pretty nasty actually. When you go on the Urban Dictionary. How do I explain this?
I don't have to. I got my phone.
It's got something to do with sperm and mouth.
Oh, yeah.
All sex and spitting.
Well, I would say that's possibly the one that got rid of, ended up getting it banned, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I mean, when I was a kid, you were
Bansies, does it go like the Congress? Or sorry, does it go like Congress? And somebody's like, well, snowball, what does that even mean? And they're like, have you seen what the kids are calling this these days? And then they get the dictionary and straight away they're like, it's disgusting, get it out of here.
Look at this film I watched last night. Because they're all up for that, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah.
The next breath, they're like, so how many nukes have we got this week and where are we going to blow up next? They're like, we can't say snowballing on TV.
Because when we were kids, I think we were about 16, there was a couple of my mates were throwing snowballs, like real ice balls, snowballs, in Cumberland Town Centre, and one nearly hit this old lady, and the police were there, and the police were going to arrest my mate. And the charge was going to be launching a missile at someone.
What?
Yeah.
He's like he didn't have his passport taken off him, but
yeah. So
citizenized, is that a word? Probably not.
I can't think. That's the only, if I think of a snowball, I think of like an ice missile, or a drink.
Well, I got another definition of it, and that's because when I was a kid, we'd gone at your house, me and my sister, and we were out the front, and it was the middle of summer, and there was some white dog shit, and my sister decided to pick it up and say, "Look, Dave, snow," and threw it at me.
And I was going to say she ate it then. I was going to say.
No. She was brought up not to touch yellow snow, so that was all right. But this was white snow.
I mean, is it an urban myth that dogs don't have white shite anymore because it's something they were putting in their dog food or some crap like that, literally crap like that?
Well, when I was a kid,
I haven't seen any. Not that I keep an eye out, but I haven't seen any since I was like.
The story was that a girl from Newport ate some and died.
Well, white dog shit.
White dog poo, yeah.
I find that one a little bit hard to digest.
So did she. Because apparently it was poisonous.
I didn't think it did the dogs any good as well. That's why they had to stop using it.
Yeah. I don't know why they were giving them to make it white, but
that's me not calling the girl a dog, by the way. I wasn't suggesting that.
I don't know. You boys from Newport?
I'm not. I actually grew up in Pontypool.
Did you? Oh, that's a bit better.
I live in Newport now. But, yeah, Pontypool's even worse than there.
I don't know. Where were you born?
Pontypool.
That was your Westmont boy, yeah?
Yeah, I was, Dave, unfortunately.
I remember going up there to play rugby, and it was like all barbed wire around it and everything. Did they still all have the barbed wire around it? And around the rugby fields, was that to keep the kids in or stop the kids getting in?
I don't know.
I
grew up right opposite those skew fields, actually. So, they had a big red fence around it. And I don't remember any barbed wire.
On Blanday Road.
Bottom of Blanday Road?
Yeah. Was that where you were you? Opposite?
No, I was on Albion Road. So.
Oh, okay.
So just the other side of the mountain, really. But
Albion Road, that's that's by the Dragonfly.
Yeah. I know Nick Byrne from the Dragonfly quite well.
Have you played up there?
We have, yeah. He did ask us to play before Christmas, but it just didn't work out with dates and everybody's calendars. It's a nightmare at this time of year, isn't it? And then he offered us New Year's, and I just it's not going to happen. I'm not going to go out on New Year's.
What was that post he put up on Facebook the other day saying he doesn't know what's going to happen? And
I don't know.
It's nightclubs from the 27th. So
you'll have to close at pub hours, won't you?
Yeah, Dickford has released now that nightclubs and discos. I don't know whether that includes. I don't think it includes pubs from the 27th.
Yeah. Basically, you can only have pub hours, so I think you can have to, if you're open, if you've got a late license, you can't use it. You have to close at a certain time. But I think
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I always worry about Nick. Actually, he always seems to get a bit suicidal. I think when I read his posts.
He's an emotional kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
I guess it's his passion, and it's not easy up that neck of the woods to try and do something because it's not like once upon a I grew up when I was a kid. Like I'd given away my age a bit really, but in the 80s they had like plenty of. They had the Greyhound, didn't they, in Pontypool? It was a bit of a rocking place. They had the Winning Horse. I mean, not really places had many bands, live music going off, but it was, a little bit. And then I went through sort of what I call the golden age of sort of the late late 90s to sort of early 2000s, where you could do 2 gigs on a Friday night across the valley, you know, not get paid, but you'd go and play like Merthyr and then come across to Abertillery and whatever. And, you know, even in Pontypool, you could find some gigs. But, you know, times have changed so drastically for venues, and not just that, the way that kids experience their freedom is a different way to the way we did when we were a lot younger. Whereas that was sort of a social event for us. We'd all go, oh, so-and-so's playing. And then you'd be like, oh, well, if they're playing, they're going to be there. And you go and see all your friends, as well as watch some pretty tidy, you know, young bands, you know, happening around the time. But it's just, like, it's not so many kids that operate in that way now, even the ones that are in to that sort of side of music and those genres. And even though they're completely intertwined now, like with bands like Nova Twins, and I guess even Bring Me to a Point, you know, where they're pop metal chart wonders, you know. And I guess, how can I put it really? I guess the generation's grown up with things like, you know, Made in Chelsea and, you know, The Only Way is Essex, and more like the American ones, like I can't remember the American ones, like, you know, Love Island and all those sorts of shows where it's got to be the biggest and the best as well. So they don't want to go to small, dingy, dark venues anymore, like TJ, Stinking a Piss and all that, whereas we'd live for that every Friday and Saturday. We'd live to go there, or V3 or whatever on a Wednesday. You know, they want, you know, they want to hire a cabin out or a manor house, and, you know, they want to go to cocktail bars and the Alchemies and the Botanists and posh Cardiff cocktail bars these days, you know. And if they want to experience rock music, they will go to a big show. They will go to the Motor Point and watch a big rock show, you know, or they'll go to a stadium show, or they'll go, you know. It's pretty hard, you know. Cardiff's a little better, I guess, because you've got Fuel and they're doing a real good job at sort of flying the flag, I think, in Cardiff. More so than what the Welsh Club are. I mean, once upon a time, the Welsh Club was probably the pinnacle in Cardiff for that sort of level, and, you know, grassroots venues we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I just don't think the kids just don't want it anymore. They don't need it. They go on the internet, they go on their computer games, you know, they don't need a house to socialize with a group of people. So, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything. I'm just saying this is the way the world is, and this is the way that people consume things now. They consume it through a screen or through a phone, or, you know, they don't necessarily need to leave the house. And actually, when you look around, most of the time when you do find a bunch of kids that have left the house and they're out and about, they're all on their bloody phones anyway, you know? So, yeah, it's kind of like, this is just how society's interacting with these things, you know?
Yeah, you're right. The majority of gigs I go to tends to be old farts like me.
Yeah,
you get old farts like me taking their kids, and that's kind of like where the new breed is coming in, where your kids to listen to your music, do you know what I mean? But
once upon a time, though, it used to be a thing you did to rebel against your parents. Now your parents are like, come on, let's go rebel. Let's go. You want to drink a beer? I don't want to drink beer, Dad. Get it, don't you? but like, it is.
What you're missing out on.
It is a different world, like, and it's a bit disappointing, because I remember when I was young, sneaking off down the settlement in Pontypool. It was the old settlement on the road. I mean, literally like an overgrown, I don't know, like dilapidated shed. And I went to go and see a punk band called the Booming Overtones, Reverend Pool Ball, Booming Overtones, messing some rock and roll or something like that. It was absolutely batshit crazy, and they thought they were the Pistols. And they did all right, you know, they were a proper punk band, and it was just absolute chaos in there. But it was free. I was like 14. I bought a couple of cans of Special Vat in there for 50p, you know, and you're just never going to have that sort of shit knocking around these days. And if you do, it's not punk bands, grime bands, you know. It's the grime scene that's more punk than everything. In fact, I'd say the grime's probably more punk than what punk was in the 70s at the moment. They have these secret little gigs, hideaways, rammed full of kids, all playing the trap grime music, you know. It is definitely more rock and roll than rock and roll at the moment.
What the fuck's grime music?
Look it up. Grime music on you know, Radio 1 Extra. It's, you know, I guess really it's like the reason why I wanted to play Appetite for Destruction in the car when I was 9 years of age with my parents, because they didn't like it. And so a lot of parents don't like grime and trap music. And so that's why kids gravitate towards the things their parents are just like, well, you listen to this. This is terrible. Why are you listening to this?
Okay.
I hate it. I'm going to play it louder. I'm going to play it. You know.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, I was a fully blown punk rocker. So
Yeah.
You know, playing punk music, Pistols and the Damned,
Yeah.
and New Case
Just
Set.
that, you know, if you thought, oh, it offended like a generation of people you didn't really not care for, but you know what I mean? Like you didn't resonate with, like you were making your own path at that sort of age. So you're gonna love it more, aren't you?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So I just think that's probably.
So now that I mean, the parents that are our age, I guess, grew up on punk music. The kids have to call it something else. So they're calling it grime music because their parents were cool and they were punk rockers, you know.
Yeah, but I guess it's more rap orientated grime music. You know,
Okay.
it's more rap and more, you know, a lot more street, I guess, in some ways, and that sort of, if you want to use those sorts of
How
terms.
about slapping your bitch and stuff?
Well, I don't want. Yeah, I wouldn't like. I can't comment on sort of the social journalism that these kids are speaking about. I guess some might be. I think it's more about having a persona, a lot like you kind of like, I guess, rap artists that's come before them about having a persona. You get a lot of kids talking about, you know, cashing in, you know, I don't know, bars of coke and things like that. And they're not really doing it. They just, you know, it's it's a front to show, like, it's a language, isn't it? You know, it's a persona, it's a language to say, I'm pretty hard. You don't want to mess with me because, you know, I do all this shit. But nobody does really, you know. I guess, yeah. I'm not saying that nobody does. People do it, but they're not bloody rapping about it. That's true. And if they are, then they're fools, like, you know.
Yeah. Then they're 50 Cent.
Yeah, I just
dead.
I just kind of like feel like it's a rebellious sort of thing, and that's the rebellion at the moment that's going on in kids. But you don't need to go to big venues and shows to do it. You can do it on the internet.
Is it like that fucking Bob Villain and that sort of stuff?
I don't know who that is, man.
Oh, good.
I'll tell you what it's like. It'd be like going on 8 Mile with Eminem with the little clubs.
Oh yeah, it's like, you know, they do those they do those rap battles and things like that. And I'm going to go at rap music at all, because I mean I'm in a kind of like a rap rock band as well, like, you know, and I think it's all good. But what I'm trying to understand is the differences in why perhaps rock metal music isn't quite as affluent as what it was, you know, 10, 20 years ago. It's because there's a lot more harder, different types of music that kids are being into that might not necessarily be guitar-driven based music anymore, you know. I mean,
it seems to be making a comeback.
Yeah, it does seem to have a little bit of a resurgence, and I do feel like something in South Wales is kind of like bubbling over more than it ever has. Like with young bands, I guess, you know, like Holding Absence. I really love Holding Absence. They're a young sort of rock band that are really climbing their way up, doing really well, and leading the way for other sort of Welsh bands to sort of admire and look up to and aspire to, which is great. You know, we had a bit of a devastation, didn't we, really, and in the South Wales music scene, where, you know, somebody turned out to be a bit like Gary Glitter, and it kind of just derailed. Worse. You know. It was worse. It was way worse. Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I don't want to say the name, so I'm just, you know, we all know. We all know that fucking Ian Watkins. It's unfortunate because... And it's not the one from Steps. Not Steps, no. But you know what I'm saying. Like at one point, it was devastating for the South Wales music. Aside from scene. You know, the big ones like Manic Street Preachers, Stereophonics, because they're a different side of the fence of rock music. They were, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, they were coming very much to the end of sort of their career in the sense of, you know, of a new generation of kids and things like that. But you know, it did just set everybody back. You know. Yeah, definitely, yeah. It tarred sort of the you know, the achievements of other bands, unfortunately. Not that it shouldn't, but it naturally just, you know, came to a bit of a grinding stop at that point. Yeah, we spoke to Sean Smith about it because, you know, he's of exactly the same view, to be honest. Yeah, you know, I know Sean really well, and I love his new band Raiders. I think he's doing great things. But I opened up for them in one of the bands I was playing with called The Guns at the time in Cardiff, Exeter and Birmingham, where the Blackout were on with them. And it just, you know, it was some of the best memories that I have being in a band and playing in CIA with my mother 2 rows from the front waving at me telling her to get out of the way, she's going to get killed in a minute, like, you know. But you know, all those sorts of things that they did, and they helped with bands at the time, it was great. But you know, it's all kind of it all fell apart, didn't it? You know. But that's not to say that it can't happen again from somebody else. And and I do feel like that we're coming out the other side of that with some really interesting music in Wales. I mean, not just guitar stuff as well. There's a great, there is a great hip hop scene in Cardiff and in South Wales Valleys, but very, intertwined. They have, they're collaborating with people across the Atlantic Ocean in America, and one guy called DJ Alchemy who's producing and working, collaborating with loads of artists and putting it out there. And I just generally just feel like it's we just need more places to play, really. I think, and we need more people to go out and enjoy it as well.
All right then, mate. Well, it's been good to talk to you.
No, thanks for having us on. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's great.
When you got your next single coming out? Any plans or?
I don't know. It's got to be finished yet. So.
Oh, right. Okay.
Certainly 2022, you'll see some new Catalyst music appearing. I couldn't say when because, we have got to finish some bits and bobs up, but the majority of it's done. We just want to make them the best they can be.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, give us a shout if you get to Rockfield, and we'll do an interview with you in there.
Yeah, we'll do. And if you want to, if you want to talk about any of the other bands I do, so,
Yeah, okay. Send me an email and I'll check it all out.
Will do. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Thanks, Elliot.
Have a good one. Have a nice Christmas, buddy.
Have a nice Christmas, mate.
Ta-ra, guys.
Ta-ra. Right.